There comes a time in life when you've got to close the door, turn off the phone, and silence the noise of everybody else's demands. Because if you stay available to everything and everybody, you'll never discover who you truly are. See, the truth is, people will use your time, drain your energy, and occupy your spirit as long as you let them. They will call you when they're in trouble, lean on you when they're weak, demand your presence when they're empty. But when it's your turn to need strength, to need encouragement, to need a hand, they suddenly vanish. The reason you feel worn out is not because you don't love God, not because you don't have purpose, not because you lack strength. It's because you've been too available to the wrong things. You've been saying yes to what deserved a no. You've been showing up in places that didn't deserve your presence. Sometimes the greatest deliverance is not God removing people from you. It's you removing yourself from people. It's not the door they close in your face that changes your destiny. It's the door you decide to close on access to your life. When you stop being available to chaos, peace shows up. When you stop being available to manipulation, clarity comes. When you stop being available to toxic cycles, growth begins. You've got to learn the discipline of divine boundaries. Stop being available to every phone call, text, every drama, every cry for attention, because your destiny is too valuable to be wasted on distractions. The shift doesn't happen when people change. It happens when you change. When you stop making yourself accessible to what depletes you, you create room for what will build you. And when you finally decide, I'm not available for foolishness anymore, you'll watch doors open, strength return, and purpose accelerate. There is a truth that many of us struggle to embrace, yet it holds the key to the very freedom and success we've been praying for. Boundaries create breakthroughs. You can pray for miracles. You can fast for direction. You can work until your body is weary. But until you learn how to set boundaries, you will keep living beneath your potential. Because no matter how anointed you are, no matter how gifted, no matter how talented, if you give yourself away to everything and everyone without limits, you will end up empty, drained, and unfulfilled. Boundaries are not walls of rejection. They are walls of protection. They are not about keeping people out. They are about keeping your purpose safe. Too many of us confuse being loving with being available. We confuse compassion with accessibility. Love without boundaries is not love. It's bondage. Compassion without wisdom becomes captivity. And when you constantly give yourself to everything around you, you are robbing yourself of the energy you need to invest in the very thing God has called you to do. Think about it. If you plant a garden and never put up a fence, everything has access to it. The deer, the rabbits, the insects, they will come in and eat the fruit before you ever get to taste it. And then you'll sit there wondering why your hard work is not producing results. It's not because you didn't plant the seed. It's not because you didn't water the soil. It's not because the sun didn't shine. It's because you never drew a line of protection around your harvest. And in the same way, many of us are frustrated, not because we don't have potential, not because we don't have vision, because we never set up boundaries around our lives to guard what we've been cultivating. Boundaries tell people where they stop and where you begin. They tell others that your time is not for sale, your peace is not up for negotiation, and your destiny cannot be compromised. Boundaries create order. Order always produces blessing. Without boundaries, your life becomes chaotic. Without boundaries, your schedule gets hijacked. Without boundaries, your spirit becomes overextended. And then you find yourself living tired, given halfway, never fully present, never fully effective, because you allowed too many things access to your energy. But when you establish boundaries, breakthroughs happen. Breakthroughs happen because boundaries teach you how to focus. Boundaries force you to prioritize. They make you ask, what really matters? Who really belongs in my life? What is worth my yes? And what must receive my no? Every time you set a boundary, you are telling yourself, I value me, value my purpose. I value my peace. Some of you are one boundary away from your breakthrough. one boundary away from peace of mind, one boundary away from finally resting at night, one boundary away from finishing that dream you've been postponing. You've been blaming people for draining you, but the truth is they only drained you because you left the faucet running. You left your heart open to whoever came by. You left your time open to whoever demanded it. You left your mind open to every voice, every opinion, every distraction. But when you turn off the faucet and guard your flow, you discover that your energy was never gone. You just allowed too many people to drink from a cup that wasn't theirs to drink from. Boundaries are also spiritual. Even God created boundaries. When He formed the earth, He separated the waters from the land. When He created the heavens, He set the stars in their place. He told the sea, you can only come this far. He told the day and the night when to begin and when to end. God Himself demonstrates that creation requires boundaries. Order requires boundaries. And if He sets them, who are we to think we can live without them? Once you set boundaries, you discover who truly values you. The people who only wanted to use you will be offended. The ones who only came around when it was convenient will disappear. But the ones who love you, respect you, and honor your worth will adjust. Boundaries don't destroy relationships. They reveal relationships. They reveal who's there for what you give versus who's there for who you are. When you finally establish boundaries, you create space for breakthrough. You create space for God to move. You create space for clarity to come. You create space for rest, which fuels your creativity and your focus. You create space to heal, to grow, to dream again. You create space for the right people to enter because the wrong people no longer have unlimited access. Don't let guilt keep you from setting boundaries. Some of you keep saying yes because you don't want to be misunderstood. You don't want people to call you selfish. You don't want them to think you've changed. But hear me, you have changed. Growth requires change. Destiny requires change. If they can't handle your boundaries, then they were never meant to handle your breakthrough. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about pulling your destiny closer. They are not about rejection. They are about protection. They are not about being hard. They are about being wise. When you draw the line, you are not saying, I don't love you. You are saying, I love me too. And when you begin to love yourself enough to guard your purpose, heaven begins to respond, doors begin to open, strength begins to return, and you begin to see the breakthroughs you've been praying for. So I declare to you today, stop apologizing for boundaries. Stop excusing why you can't be everywhere, do everything, and meet everybody's need. You are not their savior. You are not their source. You are not their endless supply. You are a vessel, and if you break yourself trying to be everything for everybody, you'll end up being nothing for yourself. Boundaries are the gift that protect the treasure God placed inside you. And when you finally honor that truth, when you finally stop being afraid to say no, when you finally stop making yourself available to every call, every drama, every distraction, you will look back and see that the very thing that unlocked your next level was not just your hustle, not just your prayer, not just your gift, but your boundaries. Because boundaries create breakthroughs. Peace is one of the greatest treasures you can ever have in this life. It is not found in money. It is not hidden in material things. It is not buried in the applause of men. Peace is the quiet rest of the soul, the stillness of the heart, the assurance that no matter what is happening around you, all is well within you. Here's the truth many do not want to face. Peace requires separation. We live in a world where everyone wants your attention, everyone wants your time, wants access to your energy. People pull you in every direction, and if you allow them, you will wake up one day realizing that you gave yourself to everything and everyone but left no space for peace. Peace does not come by accident. Peace does not arrive simply because you prayed for it once. Peace comes when you choose to separate yourself from the things, the places, and sometimes even the people who rob you of it. There are seasons where you must disconnect in order to heal. There are seasons where you must pull back in order to find your balance. And there are seasons where you must separate yourself from the noise, from the opinions, from the drama, from the chaos, so you can hear the voice of God clearly. Separation is not about arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. Separation is about survival. It's about understanding that if you do not protect your peace, you cannot walk in your purpose. Look at nature. When the eagle builds her nest, she builds it high in the mountains, away from predators, away from disturbances, away from noise. She separates herself and her young so they can grow in safety. In the same way, if you are going to live with peace, you must be willing to build your life above the distractions, above the drama, above the negativity. You cannot dwell in peace if you are always accessible to chaos. Peace requires separation from negative people. There are individuals who thrive on conflict, who cannot rest unless there is drama, who are addicted to complaining, gossiping, and pulling others down. If you stay connected to them, their storm will become your storm. Their restlessness will become your restlessness. Their negativity will poison your spirit. The separation may hurt. The peace it produces is priceless. Peace also requires separation from your past. How can you live in peace when you keep revisiting old wounds? How can you rest when you keep reliving past failures, past betrayals, past heartbreaks? You cannot carry yesterday into today and expect peace to live there. There must come a moment where you say, I release I let go of what broke me, and I separate myself from the memories that torment me. When you finally stop opening the door to what God has already closed, peace walks in. Sometimes peace requires separation from your own business. You can get so busy chasing success, chasing goals, chasing validation, that you forget how to breathe. You forget how to enjoy the small blessings. You forget how to rest in the present. Hear me. Peace is not found in doing more. Peace is found in being still. There is a kind of separation where you put down the phone, step away from the noise, and allow your soul to catch up with your body. In that quiet, you discover that peace was always there. You just couldn't hear it through the noise. And let us not forget, peace requires separation from toxic cycles. Some of you have been trapped in cycles of people pleasing, saying yes when your spirit is screaming no, showing up for others when you have nothing left for yourself. That cycle robs you of peace. Breaking it requires courage. Requires the courage to separate yourself from expectations that drain you, from obligations that are not yours to carry, from patterns that keep you bound. The separation is not easy, but it is necessary because nothing costs more than a life lived without peace. Even Jesus demonstrated this principle. He often withdrew from the crowds, separated himself from the disciples, and went up into the mountains alone to pray. Why? Because even the Son of God knew that peace requires separation. If he needed to pull away to hear the Father's voice, what makes us think we can survive without doing the same? Your spirit cannot stay healthy if you are always available. There must be sacred spaces in your life where nobody has access but God. Separation is not rejection, it is redirection. When you separate, you are not pushing people away, you are pulling peace closer. You are not isolating yourself from love. You are creating space to receive it in its purest form. You are not running from responsibility, you are protecting your ability to handle responsibility with wisdom and strength. Peace does not dwell in crowded, noisy, chaotic environments. Peace lives in the stillness, and to find it, you must be willing to separate from what disturbs it. Some of you have been praying for peace while still holding on to what steals it. You want God to give you rest. You refuse to let go of the relationship that drains you. You want God to calm your spirit. You still surround yourself with voices that agitate your soul. You want clarity, but you stay in environments that thrive on confusion. Peace will never come until you separate. Peace is not delivered in a disorder. It is birthed in the soil of separation. Separation is painful. It hurts to walk away from people you love. It hurts to let go of habits that have comforted you, even if they harmed you. It hurts to say no when your heart wants to say yes. But peace is worth the pain. Because once you endure the pain of separation, you step into the beauty of stillness. You step into the sweetness of calm. You step into the power of clarity. You step into the strength of serenity. When you finally choose peace over people pleasing, peace over performance, peace over noise, peace over chaos, you will discover that separation was never a loss, it was a gain. You didn't lose them, you gained you. You didn't lose opportunities. You gained clarity. You didn't lose connection. You gained communion with God. So if you want peace, do not be afraid to separate. Do not be afraid to step away. Do not be afraid to create distance, because peace requires separation. And once you embrace that truth, you will discover a life that is lighter, freer, calmer, and more purposeful than you ever imagined. There is a treasure inside of you, a treasure greater than money, more precious than gold, more enduring than fame. It is the treasure of your purpose, your peace, your time, your spirit, and your destiny. And the truth is, your value demands protection. You cannot live carelessly with your life and expect it to flourish. You cannot give unlimited access to people who do not respect your worth and expect to remain whole. What is precious must be protected, and what is valuable must be guarded. If someone gave you a diamond ring, you would not toss it on the kitchen counter and walk away. You would not hand it to anyone who asked to borrow it. You would not leave it lying in the street. Why? Because its value demands protection. Yet how often do we handle our own souls with less care than we handle jewelry? How often do we allow people who do not honor us to have full access to our hearts? How often do we let environments that drain us steal our joy? Often do we let negativity walk right through the door without resistance? Your life is not cheap. Your time is not common. Your destiny is not disposable. It cost heaven itself for you to be here, and you were placed in this world with purpose. That means you cannot treat yourself like you are ordinary. You cannot allow others to treat you like you are replaceable. When you understand your value, you stop giving discounts. You stop lowering your standards just to be accepted. You stop allowing manipulation to dictate your choices. You stop tolerating what dishonors your spirit. Protection requires boundaries. If you do not draw the line, people will keep crossing it. If you do not define your limits, people will decide them for you. It is not cruelty to protect your peace. It is wisdom. It is not selfish to guard your time. It is stewardship. You cannot fulfill your calling if you are constantly depleted by those who misuse your access. To protect your value is not arrogance. It is obedience to the responsibility of carrying a destiny worth fighting for. Look at how banks treat money. They build vaults with thick steel doors. They install cameras, alarms, and security systems. Why? Because the money is valuable. If natural institutions understand the principle of protection, how much more should you protect what God placed inside you? Your creativity, your peace, your dreams, your spirit, all of it is priceless, and all of it must be safeguarded. But here is the danger: many of us give away our value too easily. We give our time to conversations that go nowhere. We give our hearts to relationships that break us. We give our minds to negativity that poisons us. We give our gifts to people who only take and never pour back. Then we wonder why we feel empty, exhausted, and unappreciated. The issue is not that you lack value. The issue is that you stop protecting it. Protecting your value often requires making hard choices. It means saying no when you are used to saying yes. It means closing doors that once felt comfortable but now drain your strength. It means walking away from relationships that refuse to honor your worth. It means choosing environments that feed your spirit instead of starving it. And yes, it means facing criticism from those who benefited from your lack of boundaries. People who were comfortable using you will call you selfish when you decide to protect yourself. But you must remember, your value demands it. Even nature teaches this principle. Pearls are formed in oysters deep beneath the ocean, hidden, shielded, covered until they are complete. Gold is dug out of the earth, hidden away until refined by fire. Precious things are not lying around for anyone to trample. They are covered, protected, preserved. If creation protects its treasures, you must protect yours. Some of you have been living below your potential because you keep casting your pearls before swine. You keep giving your wisdom to people who do not listen. You keep giving your strength to people who do not appreciate it. You keep giving your love to people who do not honor it. That is why your soul feels empty. That is why your peace is disturbed. That is why your spirit is tired. The problem is not your value. It is that you placed it in the wrong hands. Protecting your value also means protecting your mind. What you allow into your thoughts shapes your life. If you constantly feed on negativity, fear, gossip, and doubt, you are poisoning the treasure within you. But if you feed your mind truth, wisdom, and faith, you are fortifying the treasure within you. Guard your thoughts because they shape your reality. Guard your words because they create your atmosphere. Guard your company because they influence your spirit. When you begin to protect your value, you begin to see change. Suddenly, you have energy again because you are not wasting it on battles that are not yours. Suddenly, you have clarity because you are not drowning in confusion. Suddenly, you have confidence because you are no longer depending on people who belittle you. Protecting your value unlocks your potential, and your potential produces breakthroughs. And let me remind you, protecting your value does not mean isolating yourself from everyone. It means choosing wisely who you give access to. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Some people belong in the balcony. Some people belong outside the theater. You can love people from a distance while protecting your peace. You can forgive people without giving them the keys to your heart again. You can be kind without being used. Love does not mean access. Forgiveness does not mean permission. Protecting your value means knowing the difference. There is greatness inside of you. Greatness is fragile if left unprotected. There are dreams inside of you, but dreams die if exposed to constant negativity. There is a calling inside of you. Callings get delayed when you spend your life trying to keep everyone happy. Protecting your value is not about hiding your light. It is about making sure your light is not extinguished by those who do not appreciate it. You are worth protecting. Your voice is worth protecting. Your peace is worth protecting. Your dreams are worth protecting. Stop apologizing for saying no. Stop explaining why you need space. Stop defending why you cannot give yourself to everyone. Precious things don't beg to be valued. They demand protection. When you finally understand your worth, you stop being careless with your life. You stop entertaining what dishonors your spirit. You stop lowering your standards for temporary approval. You stop compromising your future for fleeting comfort. And when you live like that, you discover a deeper joy, a stronger confidence, and a lasting peace. Your value demands protection. Protect it with boundaries. Protect it with wisdom. Protect it with courage. Because if you don't, others will misuse what God gave you. But when you do, you'll walk into a life that is full, purposeful, unshakable. We often wait for life to change before we change. We wait for people to treat us differently before we treat ourselves differently. We wait for opportunities to come before we start preparing. We wait for doors to open before we get up and move. But the truth that many refuse to face is this: the shift starts with you. You don't have to wait for circumstances to line up. You don't have to wait for other people to finally recognize your worth. You don't have to wait for the perfect timing. Change does not begin out there. It begins in here. It begins in your mind, in your decisions, in your perspective, in your faith. The greatest shift you will ever experience in your life is not when something around you changes. It is when something inside you changes. Look at your life. So much of what you are experiencing is a reflection of what you have allowed, what you have tolerated, and what you have believed. If you believe you are not worthy, you will keep accepting less than you deserve. If you believe you are not capable, you will keep shrinking back from opportunities. If you believe life will never get better, you will keep walking with a defeated posture. Nothing shifts until you shift. Nothing changes until you decide that you are tired of living the same way. The shift starts when you make up your mind that you are not going to live another day being a prisoner to excuses. The shift starts when you stop blaming everyone else for where you are and start taking ownership of your choices. The shift starts when you stop waiting for others to validate you and learn how to validate yourself. It starts when you look at the mirror and say, if change is going to happen, it begins with me. Waiting for others to change will keep you stuck. Waiting for apologies, waiting for recognition, waiting for closure, waiting for someone to rescue you. None of that brings transformation. The moment you stop waiting and start moving is the moment everything begins to turn around. Because life does not bend to your wishes, it bends to your decisions. Even faith requires this shift. Belief without action is empty. You can pray for a new season. If you keep walking in the old mindset, you will sabotage the very blessing you asked for. You can pray for increase if you are not faithful with what you already have, you will not see it. You can pray for new opportunities, but if you refuse to let go of old habits, you will miss them. The shift is not magic, it is discipline, it is consistency, it is courage. It is the daily choice to think differently, act differently, and live differently. Think of a seed. The moment the seed decides to shift from being buried to being broken, growth begins. It doesn't wait for the soil to change. It grows in the soil it is in. It doesn't wait for the weather to be perfect. It stretches anyway. When the seed shifts, the soil responds. When you shift, the atmosphere around you begins to respond too. People notice, opportunities notice, even heaven notices, but it all starts with you. Some of us have been living with the same cycles for years because we are waiting for others to change instead of changing ourselves. You keep waiting for them to treat you right, but the shift starts when you decide to stop letting them mistreat you. You keep waiting for them to see your worth. The shift starts when you decide to stop offering discounts. You keep waiting for the environment to get better. The shift starts when you decide to rise in spite of it. The shift starts with your mindset. As long as you think small, you will live small. As long as you think defeated, you will live defeated. But when you shift your perspective, you shift your life. When you begin to believe that you are worthy, you will stop settling. When you begin to believe that you are capable, you will stop holding back. When you begin to believe that your future is greater than your past, you will stop rehearsing old pain and start pursuing new purpose. The shift also starts with your decisions. Every yes and every no you speak creates your future. Every choice is either pulling you toward your destiny or pushing you further away. If you want to see different results, you must start making different choices. Stop saying yes to things that drain you. Stop saying yes to distractions. Stop saying yes to people who misuse you, and start saying yes to discipline. Start saying yes to focus. Start saying yes to growth. That shift begins with you. The shift also starts with your courage. Change is never comfortable. Growth is never convenient. You will not feel ready. You will not have all the answers. You will not always have support. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward in spite of fear. Courage is the decision to leap even when your legs are trembling. Courage is saying, I may not know what tomorrow holds, but I refuse to stay stuck where I am today. That shift starts with you. And do not think the shift will be celebrated by everyone. When you begin to change, some people will resist it. When you raise your standards, those who were comfortable with your compromise will be offended. When you decide to walk away from cycles of chaos, those who fed off your weakness will call you selfish. When you start protecting your peace, those who benefited from your lack of boundaries will accuse you of being different. Yes, you are different. That is the point. The shift requires you to become who you were always meant to be, not who others want you to remain. When you shift, your environment shifts. When you shift, your relationships shift. When you shift, your opportunities shift. But it doesn't start with them. It starts with you. Hardest work you will ever do is not building businesses, not raising families, not chasing dreams. The hardest work you will ever do is shifting yourself, shifting your mind, shifting your habits, shifting your expectations, shifting your standards. Because once you shift, everything else begins to align. So stop waiting. Stop hoping someone else will change before you move. Stop delaying your growth because others are comfortable with your stagnation. The shift starts with you. It starts with your decision to rise. It starts with your determination to break cycles. It starts with your faith to believe that where you are is not where you will remain. And when you finally make that shift, you will see life in a new way. You will discover strength you didn't know you had. You will uncover opportunities you didn't think existed. You will find peace where there was once chaos, clarity where there was once confusion. But none of it begins until you begin. The shift does not start tomorrow. The shift does not start next year. The shift does not start when others decide to do right. The shift starts with you, right here, right now. And the moment you embrace that truth, everything in your life begins to change. Not everyone can go with you to the next level. Not everyone deserves a seat at the table of your destiny. Everyone should have access to your life, your mind, your heart, or your vision. If you want to grow, If you truly want to evolve into the person you were created to be, you must understand this principle: growth requires limited access. You cannot hand out your time like it is endless. You cannot give away your energy like it is unlimited. You cannot open your heart to everyone who knocks. Access must be earned. Proximity must be proven. Because the truth is, if you allow the wrong people to have unlimited access, they will suffocate your potential, drain your focus, and derail your progress. Growth is fragile in its beginning stages. Just like a seed breaking through the soil, it is vulnerable. It needs protection, nurturing, and the right environment to flourish. That is why not everyone can have access to it. If you expose your growth too soon to those who do not understand it, they will trample it under their feet. If you share your dreams too freely with those who cannot see what you see, they will mock it, belittle it, and crush it before it has a chance to take root. Your growth requires limited access because what is sacred must be guarded. Some of us struggle with this truth because we feel obligated to give everyone the same level of access. We think loyalty means access. We think love means access. We think compassion means access. But love does not equal access. Forgiveness does not equal access. Loyalty does not equal access. Access is not free. It is earned through respect, consistency, and honor. If you study the life of Jesus, even he demonstrated this principle. Though he loved the multitudes, he didn't give everyone the same level of access. He had 12 disciples, but within the 12, 3 who experienced moments the others did not, and even within the 3, there were times he separated himself completely to be alone with God. Why? Because growth requires limited access. There are certain conversations, certain prayers, certain revelations, certain levels of transformation that cannot happen in a crowded room. They require separation. They require intimacy with the right voices, sometimes intimacy with no voices at all. Growth demands that you become intentional about who you allow close to you. Some people only want proximity to drain you. They want to be close enough to feed off your energy, close enough to benefit from your favor, close enough to consume your time, but not close enough to invest, not close enough to support, not close enough to pour back into you. If you are not careful, you will mistake their presence for partnership when in reality, their presence is a distraction. Limited access protects your focus. You cannot grow if you are constantly distracted by noise. Too many voices will drown out clarity. Too many opinions will cloud your decisions. Too many demands will scatter your energy. Growth requires focus, and focus requires boundaries. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is silence the phone, close the door, and protect your space. Limited access also protects your peace. Everyone carries peace. Some people bring storms wherever they go. Some people thrive on drama, live on gossip, and feed on negativity. If you give them unlimited access, their chaos becomes your chaos. Their storm becomes your storm. And before you know it, your peace is gone, your joy is shaken, and your spirit is unsettled. Protecting your peace means limiting access to those who refuse to carry it. Let me make this clear. Limiting access is not about arrogance. It is not about thinking you are better than others. It is about recognizing that your growth cannot survive in toxic soil. It is about knowing that not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you. It is about accepting that your destiny is too important to be compromised by the wrong company. Growth will stretch you, and stretching requires space. You cannot stretch if you are overcrowded with people's opinions, people's demands, people's expectations. Limited access creates the space you need to expand. It gives you the margin to think, to dream, to heal, to rebuild, to rediscover who you are becoming. Without that space, you remain stuck in who you were because you never allowed yourself the room to grow. And here is the truth. Not everyone will understand when you begin to limit access. Some will call you distant. Some will call you selfish. Some will say you've changed, and they are right. You have changed. Growth changes you. Destiny changes you. Peace changes you. If they cannot celebrate your evolution, they cannot deserve your access. It takes courage to limit access. It takes courage to say no when you've been used to saying yes. It takes courage to close doors that once felt comfortable but now feel toxic. It takes courage to step away from crowds that once embraced you but now drain you. But courage is the price of growth. Boundaries are the walls that protect it. Do not be afraid to disappoint people in order to protect your destiny. Do not be afraid to be misunderstood in order to guard your peace. Do not be afraid to walk away in order to grow forward. Everyone cannot go with you. Everyone cannot have access to you, and that is okay. Because the more you grow, the more intentional you must become with your access. When you begin to limit access, you will notice the shift. You will notice your energy returning. You will notice your clarity sharpening. You will notice your spirit settling. You will notice your focus aligning with purpose. Growth thrives in environments where distractions are minimized and purpose is maximized. That only happens when you guard your access. So remember this truth: your growth is sacred, your growth is fragile, your growth is priceless. And if you do not protect it, you risk losing it. Stop giving unlimited access to those who misuse it. Stop apologizing for protecting it. Stop explaining why you cannot give everyone everything. You are not called to be available for everything. You are called to be available for destiny. Growth requires limited access, requires you to discern who belongs close, who belongs distant, and who belongs outside altogether. It requires you to embrace separation as a friend, not an enemy. It requires you to believe that your future is worth guarding, even if it means closing doors behind you. So step into this truth with courage. Stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace. Stop apologizing for guarding your purpose. Stop explaining your boundaries to people who benefit from your lack of them. Protect your growth. Limit your access, because when you do, you will discover strength you didn't know you had, peace you didn't think was possible, and breakthroughs you didn't believe you could experience.